Welcome, I'm Reddit Raider, and today we are going to go over the subreddit askreddit, where today's burning question is, what was your "oh shoot, I'm the bad guy" moment? But before we begin, please do not forget to smash that subscribe button so that way you can hear every single video that I release for your pleasure. So, without further ado, let's begin. Our first post comes from Toms.ear. I was driving my car into a roundabout, doing nothing wrong, not cutting up any drivers, driving at a safe, slow speed, and suddenly, honk from another driver. I look up and there's a taxi driver about to join the roundabout, and the driver staring straight at me. For freak's sake, I think. These guys think they own the road. Now you're not even allowed to enter the roundabout when you want to. In my own defense, I was having a bad day, so I did something I would normally never do. I slowed my car down into a crawl and gave him the finger, maintaining eye contact for several seconds, turning to look over my shoulder at him as to keep the finger and eye contact for as long as possible. The look of astonishment on his face at getting the finger from a respectably dressed woman was priceless. As I exited the roundabout, honk again. But this time, I realized the sound had been coming from a commercial playing on the car radio. It must be tough being a taxi driver. Now everyone, I've done something very similar to this. One time I was going down the highway, going a little bit over the speed limit, only 30 to 40 miles an hour, and I suddenly heard a siren. I pretty much slammed on my brakes. Don't worry, it was night. No one was behind me, and started to pull over thinking, fuck me, I'm gonna get one hell of a ticket. Then I realized it was a car insurance company playing their "don't worry, if you've been pulled over, we don't really care" ad. I felt like an idiot, but I was pretty pissed at the insurance company for playing a police siren on a car radio station. Our next post comes from Stunted at Puberty. I was in Tijuana drinking it up in the late 90s. I left the bar, and when I made it outside, I realized that I left my wallet on the table. I went back in and saw that different people were there with no wallet. I asked them if they had found a wallet, and they all said no. I got more aggressive with them and started to threaten them if they didn't return the wallet. I was a big, scary guy in those days, and I could tell they were scared. By this time, the bouncer is noticing, and I recognized that I'd likely get thrown out soon. So, I told them that I'd be waiting for them outside and would beat their asses. I went outside and was looking in to scare them, plus I was pissed. I then reached in my shirt pocket because I felt something there. Sure enough, my wallet was there. Felt like such an ass, and feel like an ass when I think of it. Now this reminds me when people who wear glasses are looking everywhere for their glasses, but they end up being on top of their head. Our next post comes from Nobody275. I was part of a night raid in Afghanistan, and the targets we were seeking left the site just before we got there. We blew the gate and shotgunned the doors and found that all the adults were gone, but they had left their kids behind. Our standard operating procedure was to leave one soldier in each room as we initially clear our way through the compound, which allowed us to move fast, but not get surprised later if someone, popped out of a hidey hole or something. That particular night, I was stationed in this room with two little kids, probably 4 and 6. There was a little light, but not much. They were understandably crying and being really loud. I felt bad for them. I used to carry extra food in my leg pocket, and I fished out some cookies and tried to hand them to the kids. The way they freaked out when I reached towards them. I thought those kids were going to succeed in climbing straight up the wall. The screaming was out of this world. Only then did I consider that I could see clearly only because of my night vision devices. But to them, I was just a large, scary-looking monster in the dark with antennas and glowing green eyes with black with all sorts of crazy stuff mounted on my head and covered in gear. While I knew these were cookies in a foiled packet, it probably didn't look like anything they would identify as food. It occurred to me that those kids would probably need therapy for a long time, and it was very unlikely they would ever get it. Our next post comes from Felix Mateo. In middle school and high school, I was sort of a proto-incel before that was even really a thing. Mid to late 1990s. I had never had a girlfriend, and I was convinced there was some sort of conspiracy because girls didn't like me. I was super attracted to this one girl in particular. But in true incel fashion, I never actually spoke to her. I simply got more and more frustrated over time. Let's call her Kara. Anyways, out of the blue one day, her less attractive best friend and I struck up a conversation, and I saw it as an opportunity. Let's call her Tina. Tina and I developed a legitimate relationship, but in my mind, I would always end up with Kara eventually. Tina was obviously head over heels for me, but I just used her to stay close to Kara. At some point in all this, Kara did eventually get a boyfriend, and I was crushed. I was so angry I broke up with Tina. Shortly after Valentine's, no less. It wasn't until a few months later when I was cleaning out all of the notes Tina had sent me that I realized what a massive freaking jerk I had been. Tina went on to find a much better man than myself, and I learned some very valuable lessons. I'm grateful too, because that incident made me reevaluate myself and my approach to women. There is an alternate universe where I am single and on Reddit, complaining about Stacy instead of treating women like an actual person and not just like trophies to be won. OP, I have to take my hat off to you because there are millions of men out there who go, women are such jerks. Why can't they love me? Why don't they sleep with me? How come I always get broken up with? Well, there are probably several reasons for that. One, you're probably terrible in bed and she has to stroke your sensitive ego. Also, you're probably a huge asshole. So, OP, congratulations. Unfortunately, you had to, break a girl's heart in high school, but trust me, she's well over that. But because of this, you're an actual human being